Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back here to today's edition of Intuitive Angling. And man, I really appreciate you guys swinging by the channel and spending some time with me on the video today. Got a good one for y'all today. I'm going to share with you guys a secret drop shot technique that my buddy Aaron Martens showed me years ago that works great in the springtime of the year. It's a springtime specific technique. I'm going to show you guys how to rig it up and talk a little bit about the areas to fish it in. I think it's going to add up to a lot of bass for you guys this spring. It's a good way to catch just like 40, 50 bass a day in the springtime of the year. Also, guys, a couple quick things before we get started. I just want to invite you to please swing by and check out my Fish the Moment lake map breakdowns at the fishthemoment.com website. These are maps that I build for lakes all across the country that gives you guys 40 good GPS waypoints in that you can download straight to your electronic unit with tips and advice on how to fish each area. So I'll link that in the description. And also, guys, you've heard me talking about it. Please check out the my Tackle Warehouse link. They got a big spring fishing sale going on. Now's a great time to stock up. 25% off on a bunch of stuff across the website. I'll put that link in the description too, so I really appreciate that. Okay, guys, this technique was showed to me by my good buddy, the late Aaron Martens, who, tragically passed away a few years ago from brain cancer. And Aaron was like a truly an innovative angler. It's like he was constantly thinking about what the bass wanted and what was going to trigger bites. And he was probably the best angler out there to maximize the potential of an area. In other words, if Aaron found an area that he knew there was a concentration of bass in, he would spend all day long figuring out little bitty finessey, just off the wall techniques to catch every bass in that area. It's like, if you were, I don't care if you were fishing a cypress tree or a point or a drop off or whatever, his focus anytime I fished with him is he wanted to literally catch every bass that was down there. And that was really figuring out the technique that the fish wanted. So anyway, one of the techniques that he showed me was his shallow water drop shot technique during the springtime of the year. Now, Aaron was probably responsible for bringing the drop shot into the mainstream from Japan. He was one of the first Western anglers to utilize it and bring it back out east. Everybody thinks now that a drop shot's just a given technique, but Aaron Martens was the one that was really responsible for making it famous. He had a tremendous amount of success. And he'd always tell me, he goes, Randy, got to throw that drop shot more, man. You need to have that drop shot on. He would throw it anywhere. It's like every time that we fished together and, we stayed together and we camped together at the tournaments for years. I don't care where we were. I don't care if we were in Mississippi or New York, Florida, if it was January, July, whatever, he would have a drop shot tied on every time. So the technique that he showed me here, I want to talk about. Let's talk a little bit about the rigs because it's sort of specific. For some reason, you don't hear much about drop shots anymore, man. The last couple of years, you just hadn't heard anyone talking about it. But the rig this shallow water drop shot rig is the key on there. Now, the first thing that you're going to have to do is you got to get a light sinker. Now, this is a 1/16 of an ounce, and this is the key right here, guys. 1/16 of an ounce drop shot weight. Most people never use a 1/16 of an ounce, but this is the whole key to the technique, what Aaron was talking about, because he's fishing this thing in like 2 foot of water, 2 to 3 foot of water, and this light drop shot weight is super critical. And then next on it, he'd have just a 4-inch worm, a short leader. See how short the leader is on there? The leader is probably, only, 5 inches long or so, like that, about the end of the worm. 1/0 Gamakatsu G-Finesse straight shank worm hook. So it's weedless because you're fishing this around cover, and usually like 8-pound test fluorocarbon line. So that's the setup you're going to use right there. This is how it's going to look. Just a short little drop shot rig there, like that. Okay, so the drop shot rig itself is key. It's really, really key to use that really light 1/16 of an ounce sinker. You're not going to get any bites hardly if you go any heavier than that. And this causes that drop shot to sink really slow. Now, Aaron, he used the robo worms most of the time. I've got a Zoom finesse worm on there, so just whatever, some small diameter 4-inch worm. But what he would do is we'd be fishing and we'd get into an area where he thought the fish were starting to move up to get ready to look for beds or bedding or moving shallow, in other words. And I don't care if there was cattails there, if there was shallow grass, there were rocks, whatever. we'd go into those shallow, flat areas once that water temperature got about 55 degrees, and he would cast that drop shot up in like 2 to 3 foot of water and throw it out there and just shake it in one spot like that. Then he'd move it a little bit, shake it in one spot, and shaking that little drop shot with that 1/16 of an ounce, sinker on there, it works different in the water because a 1/16 of an ounce is so light that it's not going to lock that drop shot into place. It's going to actually move it when you shake it. And just that whole dynamic of the light sinker and the short drop shot leader on there with the 4-inch worm, if there's a fish there, they're going to hit it. It's like they can't even resist it. And this is not even a clear water technique. We went several different times. I remember one of the best trips we ever had doing this. We were fishing Lake Gunnersville in April, and some of the fish were bedding, and we were in the back of this creek that had pretty dirty water for Gunnersville on it. It probably only had water visibility of about 1.5 feet or so. And guys, we ripped them on that exact rig right there, that little bitty light drop shot rig in water visibility that was about like this in like 2 foot of water, places where you wouldn't even think there were any bass there. And that's the beauty of this thing. It's like you can fish it around areas that nothing else will get a bite. It's like you can fish through an area like with a chatterbait and a topwater or a bigger Texas rig worm or a creature bait and never get a bite. And you can go back in there with that little drop shot and just absolutely whack them. I've never seen anything like it as far as it will catch any bass that is in that area. So one of the things that I have been able to utilize that once Aaron showed me with that is I move a lot shallower than what I normally would in the springtime of the year. A lot of times when I'm fishing in the spring, depending upon how deep the water is, I usually fish a lot of stuff like wacky rigs and shaky heads down to 10 feet or so. And ever since he showed me this, once that water temperature hits 55 or 60 degrees, I'm throwing that thing in shallow water, shallow as I can find it. And I really prefer to get in a little bit more off-colored water. And I don't know, guys, it's just something about it, man. The fish just don't ever see it. And a lot of times there would be like a piece of cover, like a little stump or something in the water. He just, flip it underhanded, like a 10 or 15 foot flip next to the stump and just sitting there, shake it in one spot like that. Eventually want to just swim off with it, start moving out with it. Another time we were down at the Washita River in Louisiana, and we were fishing this one lake there on the Washita River. I can't remember the name of it now, but Fellsmere or something, but it was full of cypress trees. And I was pitching and flipping a full-size jig and a creature bait, and I was catching a few, not ripping them by any means. And guys, he would come in behind me with this little rig right here, and he'd catch 3 or 4 off of one tree with it. And, it goes to show you that how many bass are probably down there looking at your offering that you have, whether it be a bigger jig, creature bait or whatever, and not hit it, but you come in there with that little drop shot and they'll bite it. And I think one of the reasons is the fact that when it comes through the water, there's no sinker on it. It's just completely lifelike and natural, it wiggles around just like a worm and looks just like live bait to him. So anyway, that's just a little gift that our buddy Aaron Martens passed on to everybody. And, if you guys never had a chance to meet Aaron, you guys really missed out. He was an incredible human being. He was like, anyone that has ever met him or known Aaron Martens, you don't forget it because he was just unique to himself. He was like a fishing savant in terms of, he was like a little kid. It's like when you were around him, he literally was like a little kid in an adult's body about how he was just thrilled with the wonderment of life. It's like nothing bored him. And he was always fascinated to learn stuff. And it's just absolutely sucks that he's not with us anymore. It really does. So anyway, guys, rig that up. Next time you try it, think of Aaron Martens when you're fishing it. And hope you guys catch some. We'll talk later.